All right, good evening, everyone. Today is the 30th of July, 2024. Uh, Jim will be tying some gar flies for us today. Jim and I did a gar trip a couple weeks ago, and I still have the hankering to go again. I had a lot of fun trying to catch for those, and we didn't get any carp, but it was a good time, and I really can't wait to do it again. So looking forward to Jim tying up some flies. I'll go through the email that I sent out real quick, and then we'll turn it over to Jim. And then after that, if we have any questions or anything, we could go back and talk. So again, Tuesdays, we always have our Zoom calls. Um, so if I forget to put out an email, know that we're going to have this regardless. So also making sure that I put everyone to the two so you could see all the names. That way, if you want to go fishing and you want to send it out to everyone looking for a fishing buddy, by all means you can. You don't have to wait for the weekends for where some of us get time off. Go out during the week and maybe grab someone with you. Fishing outing. There's a trip that we will do to Illinois this weekend. I will let Roger talk a little bit about that. It's a last minute thing we thought about yesterday at JB. It sounds like a cool park. Uh, it's going to be up to you if you want to go. I know the temperature is going to get really hot. So if you show up or not, I know Roger's going to be fishing there anyway. So, but if we do it, it'll be early. And so, Roger, do you want to talk a little bit about it now or you want to wait? Up, you're muted yourself.
Yeah, I can
There
talk
you
about it now a little bit, and then I'll
Okay.
look up the actual addresses and stuff and put them into the chat uh, afterwards. So then if you want to go, you can copy down the actual street address and stuff of the place. Where we're looking at going is called the Clinton Hills Conservation Area. Uh, it's in Swansea, Illinois, which is just on the east side of Belleville. And it's an old golf course that the city took over, and they still maintain the greenways and paths and stuff for runners and joggers and all that sort of thing. And they also kept the lakes. So the main lake down there, they have it clearly marked as catch and release only. They want you out there fishing. Uh, and there is a full-size restaurant on the property called Fletcher's. It's probably the easiest to see when you're actually driving out there to see where the turnoff is, because they share their big, huge parking lot with the golf course. So pull in there, they have an outside restrooms and stuff. They have a covered area pavilions with about a dozen or so picnic tables and stuff on it. And from there, it's about a quarter-mile walk down a golf cart path down to the lake. And the lake's good-sized lake. I don't know how many acres, but it is real good size. It's got pretty easy accessible fishing. I fished it the past few days and have caught a fair number of bluegill. In a couple days, I caught a crappie out there, and it's got a little various areas. You can tell where the runoffs from the golf course come down into it and stuff, where the fish might hang out. So, and plenty of room to spread out, and getting up to the bank and everything has been pretty easy. So, um, so if you get down there, there's a few benches, um, but there isn't a restroom or something all the way out right down by the lake. You have to walk back up. So the fishing's been pretty good, and it's easy to get to. And when you finish, you walk back up. Like I say, you can always pop into the restaurant and have yourself a nice lunch there if you want it all in the same day. So I'll just say, any particular question, something about it maybe that I didn't mention?
Illinois fishing license.
Yes, generically, I don't have the exact prices. I'll look it up here while you're doing the tie-in and try and put a link in also for the Illinois, where you can get an Illinois license online. There's 3 out-of-state license you can get. You can get a single day for, it's, I think, $10 and change. You can get a 3-day license for, I think, is $16, $17 and change. Or you can get a year license, which is just a little over $30. So anything else on that?
Other questions? Thanks, Roger. Benji, is that you? All right. I don't know if you want to give a quick hello. I'm Mick, so I'm the program lead for St. Louis, and we've got the usual suspects you see on the board here. So Benji just reached out to me a couple days ago on Facebook, and then we got him signed up, and he is now part of our group. I don't know if you want to say a quick hi, what your background is or anything. Just you got a few minutes, go for it.
Hi everybody. Former Army infantry. Ran into a dude fly fishing in Glacier Park. I was out there for family vacation. Who told me about the group and offered some casting advice, and caught a lake trout, so it was pretty good.
Nice.
Yeah, told me to look you guys up. Fly fished when I was a kid, but not very well. My grandpa loved it. Now I'm trying to get back into it because I don't know, it seems to work for me, like focusing on something. So
It's a good thing, and that's what we do. So, you know, we do fly tying. You'll see Jim tie up some flies for gar. Next week we'll be tying something different. I might be tying, I'm tying next week, it'll be like a bait fish pattern. We just, you know, we sit here and you'll see, we just kind of go talk through stuff. As you just heard Roger talking, we're going to try to meet up this Saturday in Illinois. Might be a little bit warm for some of us, but everyone is welcome. And then I'll get out the info on the email. But no, this is the usual gang. There's a couple more people, so just listen in, and if anytime you want to chime in, please do.
all right, I can do that.
Cool.
Where are you living?
Welcome. Welcome.
Welcome to the group.
Yeah.
Well,
Welcome.
where
I'm the Omaha group.
We like Army guys.
Yeah, we have a couple Army guys. We got
I'm Army.
Scott and Paul. There's a couple.
we Army guys bring the civility to what would otherwise be just a drunken fly tying fest. So
I definitely said something to somebody when we were in Glacier, because I was waiting with my jeans rolled up to my knees in a sleeveless shirt, and I was like, I bring a certain class to fly fishing.
Yep.
absolutely.
I'm gonna stop off
We
there.
have fun.
So are you in the St. Louis area, Benji?
Yeah, my spouse actually grew up here, so I came to St. Louis one time, got married, and I've never left.
Nice.
Well, there you go.
I sympathize with you.
Terry's the same way. Oh, it looks like Larry's finally gotten on. Cool.
Finally, I had to shut my computer completely down and reboot it for some strange, ridiculous reason.
Yeah, good to see you, Larry.
Hi, fellers. It takes me a while to get going on a day like today.
We'll blame it on the rain.
It was hot.
Milli Vanilli. So, all right. So, possible trip to Illinois this weekend if you're interested. Other things we're doing, fly tying in person, JB as usual on Mondays.
Sure.
From 6 to 7 in the gym, building 54. I will not be able to make them for the rest of this month because I'm getting my wee daughter out for college. So we're going to be packing and getting her stuff and then getting her out there. So it's gonna be a busy month. So if I could break away, I will, but making no promises. However, I'll be here doing Tuesdays. That's pretty easy for me to break away for an hour. Frank
Hey,
again is, what's that?
Just read on the Illinois Veterans website, purchase
Yeah.
of fishing and hunting licenses are not required for disabled veterans, regardless of state or residency, for receiving 10% or greater service-connected compensation.
There we
So,
go.
so
That's
check it
actually
out.
kind of nice.
All
Oh,
the-
you mean I just need to buy my license this year?
There you go.
Yeah.
Yep.
all of
You
a
might have
sudden,
to
I
look,
just
you
became
might need to look a
disabled.
little further at that, because up until very recently, you still had to go into make an appointment, go into the Veteran Service Organization office.
Yeah,
Or
it says
service
DD
office,
214.
show them your DD2,
Yep.
retirement papers and your disability papers, and you can't walk in, you have to do it with an appointment and stuff. And then they give you a 2-year license free.
Okay.
So,
Okay. Well, there's some stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah, we'll check it out.
Yeah,
I
especially
believe
for
I think there's some provisions in Missouri for disabled veterans too. I
Yep.
don't know exactly right off the top of my head what the
Yeah.
requirements are, but
There
just
is,
carry your-
if you are a 30% or greater, you can get your VA letter and send it up to Jeff City, and they'll send you back a piece of paper that I suggest laminating. But you don't have to you don't have to buy a fishing license unless you're going to fish for trout in Missouri, and you can hunt small game. I mean, you still have to buy your deer tags or turkey tags or bear or elk now in Missouri, but you can hunt small game and you can fish pretty well anything but trout.
very cool.
There is a little bit of work you got to do. So
From any state? Even from
Yep.
any state? Oh, okay.
Cool.
Gives me some ideas for Nebraska for reciprocity.
All right. So American Legion tying again. Thanks, Frank, for last month, and we're doing it again Saturday the 17th. I kind of typed it up wrong in my email, so it's still Saturday, but the 17th. We'll be tying from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. I'll have more info on that. Again, if you want to catch breakfast with us early, we say about 8:30. We meet at Uncle Bill's just down the road. Grab some breakfast before we head to tie. So last weekend we really had a good time. So it's a good time. We spend about 3 hours there. If there's a fly that you want to learn, just let me know beforehand so I could at least have the right materials. If not, it's just you tie with your equipment and fill up your fly boxes. For Benji, it's, we'll bring in, stuff and teach you. So no worries on that. I'll bring extra equipment. And again, I'll have materials. I'll go visit Mr. Tom Hargrove, see if he's got any more donations. And I'll see, bring that in for if anyone needs anything. Okay, so I was also talking about fly rod building. I did get the kits in. So I've got 10 rod kits. We could discuss if we want to do another one this year in November, but we'd have to see or I don't know if we would, maybe November. It might have to go into December a little bit because we'll have a holiday weekend in there, but just something to discuss. So we could try to do another rod build this year. I'd have to get with Kenny to make sure we could get the church hall again, but if not, we could always hold this equipment to February. So we'll discuss a little bit and let me know if you're interested or not. I got, as I said, 10 kits. Participants will go first. So if you're a participant, and especially if you've never built a rod, please let me know. It's fun and it's not as hard as you think it is. And you'll have instructors with you all along. It's a fun class. Any participants that built a rod maybe last time. Once again, you could join in, and then if we have rods left over, we could open it up to volunteers if we want. So we'll discuss about that. So Zoom meetings, like I said, Tuesdays, usually get on around 5:30. So if you want to even get on a little bit earlier, just to chat, you can. But it goes 6 to 7, and sometimes we go a little bit past 7. Not mandatory for any of this stuff. Come and go when you please. So the only thing that I really, just to repeat, August 3rd, Illinois fishing trip. I'll get more info from Roger and get that on the email out. And then the 17th of August, Saturday, we'll tie at the American Legion Post 208. In the email I have where the Omaha Zoom meeting does theirs on Thursdays, but they do have a summer shutdown. So they'll be doing their Thursday meetings, same time as this, back in September. So if you really like this meeting, you could join another one on Thursday. So that's all I have for quickly going through emails. So any last go backs on the email before I turn it over to Jim?
Mhm.
All right, Jim, you're going for it. Tie us some garflies.
Okay, yeah, so tonight I'm gonna demonstrate how to tie a couple of gar flies. They are very, very simple flies. And for anyone that is not familiar with gar fishing, gar have very bony mouths, and it's very difficult to catch them with hooks. Unless that hook actually gets into their tongue, their mouth is so hard that the hook just doesn't penetrate, and they'll spit it right back out again. So these flies they're basically called rope flies. And what happens is basically you tie a piece of rope onto anything that you can cast, and the gar will come and hit it, and the strands of the rope will get caught up in their teeth, and that's how you bring them in. And so like I say, I got 2 patterns that are basically the same, and just different material. And so I'll go over the flies. Then if we have time, I will show how to make a bite tippet, which you normally would probably use for if you were fishing for pike or whatever. And I'll talk about a little bit of the technique about how to target them and how to set the rope, so to speak. So like I say, they're very simple flies. So for materials that I'm using tonight, size 4 streamer hooks. Now, you wouldn't get Diariki number 700s because they don't make those anymore, but whatever 3x 4x long streamer hook that you can come up with. For weight, I use medium size cone heads.
Got some of those.
And for the body, I use, it's called woolly booger chenille.
Woolly booger chenille. Mhm.
Yes. So it's very similar to regular chenille, but I don't know if you can see that, but it's got little sparkly pieces in there too. And that's what I use. But if you had regular chenille, that wouldn't make any difference. I don't even know that you need chenille. No, I'm serious. They'll go after a piece of rope. So the rest of this stuff is just kind of icing on the cake. And I've seen a lot of them recently that they're adding red to it, and I don't know that makes any difference. But so I'm going to start with using some red crystal flash.
Oh, I got some of that.
Yeah. So let's get to the close-up camera here. So
Oh,
this
good.
is the first one. It's a rope fly, and as you can see, basically it's a woolly booger head with a rope tail. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my hook. I'm going to cut off the point. You don't have to cut off the point, but I like to cut it off mostly because if you don't, everything gets tangled up in. I have a friend that will adamantly tell you, do not do that, because he has caught a couple of bass on his gar flies, and if he didn't have a hook, he wouldn't have caught those bass. But I've never had a bass take it, so I don't have that problem. Then I'm going to take my cone head and put it on the hook. So you see where I just cut the point off, but I leave enough here so we can get this in the vise and hold it well.
Bill, that solves your problem for getting the cone heads on. Just cut the hook off.
That would work.
Yeah, there you go. Problem solved.
Let's just try to get
And
that head to go lock in tight.
what's that?
My problem is getting the head to lock in tight. It always wobbles on me.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that every fly that I tie doesn't, that's locked in tight, but if it wobbles a little bit, it really doesn't make any difference. So for a thread, I'm using a Unithread 6/0 white. If you were using the Ultra thread, you'd probably want to use the 140 denier. And we're just going to get this started back from the head. Cut off the tag. And then I'm going to take probably, I don't know, half a dozen, 8, 10 strands of red crystal flash. And I'm going to tie them in close to the middle. Tie those down. Then I'm going to fold this all over. Hold it back. And just wrap the thread right down to the bend of the hook. Then I'm going to take my rope. I guess I didn't really talk about the rope. So what we're looking at is twisted rope. I guess you might be able to use braided rope. I'm not really sure. I've never tried that. But I've always used twisted rope. So I know you can use that. And I'm going to cut off.
What's it made of, Jim? What's it made of?
Nylon.
Just nylon?
Yeah, just nylon twisted rope. And I'll cut off about 5 or 6 inches. And of course, it's 3 separate strands. So I'm going to separate the separate strands. Then I'm going to start about maybe 1/4 inch or a little more behind the cone head. I'm going to tie one piece to the very top, and I tie it in about 1/4 inch behind the beginning, and then start wrapping forward and try to get most of that tied down. Now I'm going to come back to about the 1/2 inch point behind the bead. I'm going to turn it 60 degrees. And I'm going to tie in the second piece. And again, I'll tie it in about 1/4 inch back from the end, then work my thread forward. Then I'll turn it another 60 degrees. I'm going to bring that thread back to probably about 3/4 behind the cone head and tie in the third piece. Okay, now I'm going to take my woolly booger chenille. And just like you were tying in a woolly booger, you're going to strip back some of the fuzzle for a tie-in point. I'm going to tie that down. And I'm going to wrap the thread back, not quite to the bend of the hook, but pretty far back. And then I'm going to bring it all the way to the front, right behind the bead. And then again, just like a woolly booger, we're going to wrap it tight. Every wrap is going to touch the wrap behind it. And we're just, the idea is we're trying to cover this all up. And honestly, this is probably more cosmetic than fish attractive. Now, when we get here, I'm going to go around several times, or say 2 or 3 times. And that helps fill in that area behind the cone head. Then I'll do 3 wraps around as close to the cone head as possible. Kind of yank on the thread. Cut the chenille off. And again, I am going to yank on the thread. And that kind of pulls that thread and everything behind the cone. So, I mean, I can still twist it, but there's very little movement in there. But again, it probably wouldn't make any difference if there was movement. So now I'm just going to make up a head and do a whip finish.
Cool. I like that.
Are you using a GSP or anything due to them being toothy?
So before we finish, these 3 strands are just like the original strand. These 3 strands are made up of 3 strands also. So what I like to do is I like to untwist them and separate those 3 strands. So you untwist them and get access to the different strands, pull them out one by one. And because it's rope and the way it's made, as soon as you let it go, see, it just curls right back up again. So we're going to do those strands. That's for one strand.
Almost like homemade fuzzy fiber. Dye it and you almost got it.
There you go.
Where do you find the cone heads like that? A wholesale type fly company?
Yeah,
I just go to the fly shop. I mean, I live 10 minutes away from 2 fly shops, so I just rent one of those and pick them up.
I'll look for them in wholesale.
Yeah, they got them there. I'm on the site right now.
Where we go fishing on the Mississippi River, there are a lot of huge gar. It
Oh,
would
they-
be a blast to hook something like that on a fly rod.
Yeah. So I like to keep mine fairly short. This is actually longer. This ends up being maybe about a 5.5 to 6 inch tail. I usually make them more like 4 inches. Oh, so let me finish my train of thought here. So we've taken the 3 strands and turned them into 9 strands. And in the past, I have continued to like comb these out. So you have individual fibers, kind of like this.
Oh,
That turns out to be a mistake, because I've had a few of those flies, and Gar will come and they'll take it, and I see them hit it, and it doesn't get caught in their teeth. So with the fact that this is still, kind of sprung together and stuff like that, I think you're going to have better success with this than to comb it all out. So I think that'll get caught in their teeth a lot easier.
have you ever thought about torching the ends to connect them so they don't come apart so easy? Their teeth won't come out at all.
I think you're better off.
Just hanging loose.
I think you're better off. Well, yeah, I don't think that's a good idea, and I'll talk about that a little bit later when I talk about how to catch these fish and how to bring them in and stuff like that. I would be concerned about doing that for the safety of the gar itself. So anyway, there we go. It's a very, very simple fly. It's when I came up with this, and I'm sure it's not terribly original, I just called it the afraid not, because basically it's afraid not.
Afraid not.
Hey, Jim.
Yes, sir.
So I've been fishing gar down here for a while, and so here's mine, and it's just on I used a little bit of a Waddington shank, and kind of the same thing. It's just, but instead of the woven, I went to Walmart, and in the sporting goods, they sell 5-foot sections of this nylon rope, and it's like $3 for 5 feet. And I've been tying flies on it. When you're only tying 8-inch, I'll cut off about 8 or 9 inches and fold it over on itself. But I did kind of do the same thing. I just twist it like this, and cut it and just kind of twist it. But you were saying you didn't know if woven would work. I use woven nylon, and it's called the boat bumper rope. They're 5 foot long at Walmart. They're under $3. So
okay.
it's
Yeah.
and
Good
they
to
tie
know.
up great, and they catch gar just as easy, and they're just as hard to pick out of their teeth as I imagine yours are.
Now you do know gar are good to eat.
I've eaten one gar, and it took me 20 minutes to clean it. And I can clean a lot of bluegill in 20 minutes, so I don't clean.
Oh.
I'll eat them, but I ain't cleaning them.
You clean them just like a northern pike. You have to take the Y bones out. They have a back strap on them between their Y bones.
Yeah, that's about it. That's all you get.
Yeah, but that's good eating.
It's great eating. It's like shrimp.
Yeah,
But,
somebody told me it's poor man's scallop.
Oh, it. So I caught my first gar was about a 28-incher. I had to get my hacksaw out to cut through right behind the head to get through the scale, and then I got out my tin snips and cut down the backbone, and then when I peeled it, it just kind of opened up like this. Those scales were so tough. It's like body armor, just opened up. And I didn't really know what I was looking for because I'd never cleaned one. I pulled out the back straps that Larry was talking about, and I got about, out of that 24, 26-inch fish, I got about 2 pieces of meat that were about 6 inches long, about as big around as my finger, but they were delicious. But it was a lot of work for that meat.
Trent, let me ask you this: when you do you use a bite tippet on yours, or have you ever had a problem with the?
I haven't had a problem, but I use just a, when I'm out looking for gar, I have a straight 20-pound test coming off my line.
Okay.
They're not leader shot. They're not afraid of anything. So They don't get leader shy. And I'm thinking about where it's funny, you put a bead cone head on yours. I'm thinking about the next time I tie them, I may just get I've got some old corks, and I may actually put a little floating popper head on mine.
Oh,
Because I only fish for gar when I can sight fish for them, when I can
Yeah.
see them, and I sight fish them. But it's funny you put weight on yours because I'm thinking about putting something to keep mine up on the surface.
yeah. Well, you know, the guide that we had, he was strictly sight fishing them. I mean, the difference is we were in a boat where we could stand up, and
Yeah.
I'm usually in a canoe that, you know, my butt's like 12 inches above the water line at most, and you just can't see that far. And they will come up, grab air, and go back down so quickly that you know, I want mine to get down there to get to those fish that are coming up and, you know, going back down again.
Yeah, so down here, like I'll fish like the Little Whitewater River and some of our smaller rivers, or like Apple Creek, right where it dumps into the Mississippi. And if you come up on the bank slowly, you'll just see them just under the surface, just sitting there sunning in the heat of the day. And you know, I start at the front and I just start sight casting to them, and they don't spook. If you've got them schooled, you know, they're not afraid. It's kind of funny. I thought first they'd spooked. The ones in my experience haven't spooked at all. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, they are. If you're looking to pick a fight with a fish, a gar's a good fish to pick a fight with. I'll tell you that. They're a lot of fun to catch.
So, you know what? I'm not even going to bother tying the second fly because it's tied exactly the same. But I'll just show you the material that I use. And this stuff is called, can't see it. It's called Widow's Web.
Okay.
And
Widow's Web.
I found this, you know, a guy on the internet ties them, and he uses that because he says that this stuff just gets caught on everything, and you can see this material, and it just, you can see how it would get caught on anything. So, you know, I've tied a few of those up, but I have not had a chance to get out and use them, so I can't tell you that I've caught any on that, but I have full confidence in that. That looks pretty good. But let me go ahead and move on to tying on a bite tippet.
Yeah.
So,
You know what I found? I'll just switch tracks. I found this surveyor's thread, right? That just as like yours is really strandy, right? And you can break that out into multiple strands. I wonder if you can make small ones like this they can drop into, because this stuff is strong as heck, and you can see it get translucent like this. But even if you try combing it out, it always catches.
yeah. Well, I'm sure there's a lot of things that you can use.
Just thinking out loud. Thank you. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah. Oh, no, not a problem. It's good
I'll have
to
to
get different ideas. So the bite tippet is, this stuff is called wire bite. And I use the 20 pound, and it's a tippet that's got a wire core. So because I'm concerned that the gar would cut the line with his teeth, although I don't know that I've ever had it happen. Anyway, I always put a bite tippet on here. So I just start with one end, and I use a Davy knot just because all the rest of the knots that I try, they take, you know, multiple turns, and the more turns, the more it sits a lot better with the fewer turns. So I do the business where I go over the top, through the loop, and then around the bottom and through the loop again.
I'm having trouble with my Davy knots coming apart on my flies.
Oh, is that right? See, I've never used them before, so
That's where you have to use a double davy. So
Double,
when
yeah.
you go through the loop twice for a normal davy, go through a third time. So, go over the top, through the middle, around the bottom, through the middle, go through the top again. And
Oh.
so it's 3 times through the loop. It's called a double davy.
Double baby.
And you need to use those for tippets like size 5X and smaller. Once you go to the heavier monofilament or fluorocarbon, you could get away with the normal davy knot, but do a double davy if you have very thin
That's
monofilament.
what I'm gonna have to do. I'm losing some big fish because of the fact that I get them hooked, and all I get back is the end of my monofilament with a little twirly thing on the end of it because the knot come through.
Yeah. Yeah, you need to double davy it. And like he's showing, see how it's 90 degrees
Oh yeah,
parallel? Yeah, tag
oh, yeah.
end. Yeah. So believe it or not, if you pull on that tag end, the davy knot will come loose.
Oh yeah.
So
Oh,
I
yeah,
leave a
mine-
little bit of
mine
extra.
do. I have not
Yeah.
been using a double davy, but I will start doing that.
That's the only thing I use is the double.
I lost two flies this afternoon doing it on davy knots. Just
Oh, bummer.
doggone it, why'd that fall apart? So I went to tying a single clinch.
okay, so anyway, now
Get that away from me.
I cut the line off at about 10 inches. And on the other end, I used to tie on big swivels like that. So I would tie one side to the swivel and then tie the tippet to the other side. And then I tried tying on tippet rings. So these are large, like bass tippet rings, and those seem to work well. And then the other day I was at the fly shop and they had micro swivels. So they're just little
Oh,
tiny guys. So I'm going to give that a try. So I'm going to bring that.
Rose,
What's that?
you got those at Cobb's?
Yes. So it's just going to be basically the same thing. And I like the idea about the double davy knot. I was unfamiliar with that. I think I'm going to go ahead and do that. So again, go over the top, under the bottom. Right. The top. Up tight. So that's my bite tippet. Whether it's necessary or not, I don't know. But I feel more confident having that. So let's talk a little bit about how to target them and how to set the rope, so to speak. So our guide and so you probably the easiest way to target them is if you can see them. If they're sitting on top of the water and not moving, they're probably going to be actively feeding, and that's all well and good. But again, the river that I fish in, it's very muddy. If they're more than 6 inches deep, you're not going to see them. It's just a matter of watching for them to break the water and start casting in the area that they are. Because I mean, they'll just come up really quick and go right back down, but they'll usually be hanging out in the same area. So if you see it, you want to cast a couple of feet ahead of it and, a couple of feet past it. And then slowly start bringing the fly in. And if he takes it, you'll feel a tug on it. And this is the hard part, especially as the first time you do it, because we feel a tug and boom, we're setting the hook. If you do that, you're going to pull that rope right out of his mouth. So if you feel a tug on it, instead of tightening it up or trying to set a hook, you actually give it a little bit of slack. And they'll take that, and just like a dog chewing a toy, I mean, he'll kind of shake it, and he'll do that 2 or 3 times. Usually, if I feel that 2 or 3 times, then I'll slowly tighten up the line, and I have them. I've heard people say that they wait till that fly travels, 5 feet, 10 feet, 20 feet, or whatever, before they actually bring it in. But so you bring it in, and then it's like, oh my God, what am I going to do with this thing? So you should be prepared. The first thing you want is a leather glove, because they have a lot of very sharp teeth, and a pair of needle nose pliers. And one thing that you have to be aware of is not only are their teeth sharp, but their scales are very sharp. First time I caught a gar, I brought it into the canoe and it started flopping around. And by the time I got it back in the water, my shins were it was like hamburger. I mean, it was just all cut up, it wasn't bad, but it was just blood all everywhere. So I learned what you do is, like, when I bring them up to the boat, I put on my leather glove on my left hand, and I pull his head out of the water, and I will hold him like right behind the head, right behind the eye. And the little guys that I'm catching, they almost, I don't know if they calm down or they freeze or whatever, but they don't fight, they don't flop around. And then you get out your needle nose pliers, and you want needle nose because you have to get that mouth open. So you stick the end of the needle nose in there and open that up. And then there's the painstaking process of picking all of those threads out of his mouth. And it's very, very important that you do that, because if you don't, as soon as he goes back in the water and closes his mouth, if there's still a lot of those fibers in there, he won't be able to open his mouth again. And now you've killed a fish for no good reason. But like I say, it's just a matter, you take your time, and honestly, once I get the mouth open, he doesn't even try to close it. So take your time and get all those fibers out of his teeth, absolutely the best that you can, and then just let him go.
Hey, Jim.
Yes, sir.
Would you do me a favor?
Sure.
Hold both your hands up. Okay,
Still hits
just
all
checking,
fingers.
just checking.
Hey, Jim, as a fellow gar fisherman guy, I
Yeah.
will tell you the only thing I would add to what you carry, and I just haven't had it because I was in New York, I would muskie and pike fish, but I have a set of these, are they showing up? These jaw
Yeah.
spreaders,
Oh,
and I just put those in and it opens them up so I don't have to, and I sit there and I actually take my hemostats that I use when I trout fish, and you're right, it's, those little hairs, it's picking all those out to get them out.
yeah.
But I
spreader work?
picked these up. They're a few bucks. You can get them at Walmart or at Bass Pro or wherever. But they're
Yeah.
jaw spreaders for. But these were. I have a set of cut gloves from work that I bring with me, and And but the only thing I would add is I carry these with me as well.
That
Yeah,
would
but
be
don't
good,
they go-
especially I can imagine, especially on, I've seen big gar, but I've never really caught one. The little
Mhm.
guys that I'm catching are usually no more than about 2.5 feet long, and at that, they're like little snakes at that point.
Yeah.
But I can imagine on a
Oh,
big fish like that, that would come in real handy.
Yeah, you start talking 30 inches or more, they get big and
Yeah, they get pretty fat too.
and
Hey,
I haven't
Jim,
I
what
haven't
is-
tried it, but they talk about
there's Walter.
What is that tool? What is that tool, Trent, that you have?
it's called a jaw spreader. You can find them. You can probably find it at Bass Pro. They're for like northern guys that fish northern pike and muskie and toothy critters. They're
Okay.
jaw spreaders though.
I use these.
What's Bill
These are
down?
by Schweer. They're cut resistant gloves. They're
Yeah.
the highest cut protection you can get. And
Yeah.
they're neoprene and rubber. So since they're partially rubber, they don't, hopefully that makes it, they don't get, they're sticky, right? And then they've got stainless steel and everything else that runs all the way through it. And they work out pretty good.
Oh,
Yeah. They're like $23, which are about the same price as a good pair of leathers. So I wear these now, like when I'm outside working and everything else, and they got a really nice, comfortable fit to them. So you can grab something sharp or toothy. Obviously, you can't prevent everything from cutting it, but they really work out well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I use them when use them like when I'm working with chainsaws and stuff like that. So just a little something I found because it's got rubber, and so that means you can hang on to slimy things, or you know what I'm saying.
Cool. Very good, Jim.
Yeah,
We
great
appreciate it.
ideas.
Any last questions for Jim? All right, if not, no big deal. I already kind of got one set up. Anyone want to tie next week? If not, I've already got something picked out for either next week or previous week.
I'll be more than happy to tie again next week. I'll be in town again next week.
All right.
Got any ideas or any requests or anything?
What do you feel like tying? Since it's usually, I call it dealer's choice. So if you're going to tie, I know what materials you have. So I hate to
Yeah.
say anything crazy, and then all of a sudden you don't have it.
Well, I am getting ready for, I'm tying for the Boundary Waters trip, and I do a lot of cicadas, but we've already done those. I use yellow cicadas for and poppers. I use I call them my June bug boogers. They're basically a purple sparkly woolly booger. And I also do crawdad imitations. So anybody interested in any of those?
What about some crawdads?
Crawdad.
Crawdad imitation, yes, that would be
Okay.
awesome.
We'll do that. We'll do crawdads next week.
I catch a lot of fish and clean them, and they have crawdads in their gut.
Oh yeah, smallmouth especially. I'm not sure about the largemouth, but smallmouth.
Largemouth
when-
too.
So that's
Largemouth,
one of the
walleye.
few times that we actually kill and keep and cook our fish is up in the Boundary Waters, and we plan on having 2 or 3 meals there, and we've done dissections on them as we were filleting them, and there's just crawdad after crawdad in there.
Walleye do it.
since-
Bass do it. White bass do it. The catfish do it. Because I obviously dissected lots of fishies when I was a kid because we lived on a lake. You know what I mean?
Hey, since get the hot weather coming up real bad, what about remedies for chigger bites? How does that sound?
Sally Jansen's hard as nails. Just
Yeah,
stretch
come on.
them and then put your Sally Jansen's on there, and they won't itch anymore. Stops the.
Yep.
There you go.
Yep.
So I
Yeah.
have a question real quick for like Jim and some of you all that tied. What kind of setup do you have there so you do your individual camera in tight? Because I wouldn't mind tying, but I have a webcam. So
for my close-up, I'm basically using my iPhone.
Oh my goodness.
No, those
so
work
how do you
good.
have it? How do you have that tied into your Zoom?
I bought a program. It's called IV Cam,
Mm-hmm.
and that it's an app, and you install it on your phone and you install it on your computer, and you start them up and they talk to each other. So, I don't know if it's Bluetooth or whatever, but anyway, so yeah, so I can use the phone as a secondary camera. And what I'll do before I start the Zoom session, I actually try to set it up and focus it on the device and doing as much Zoom as possible. So yeah, so that's what I use, and it has worked quite well for me.
I think we should probably maybe do that for one of our meetings, kind of go
That'd be
through
a
our
good idea.
setups, because I think a lot of people want to do it, and I think Walt even bought my setup, and so maybe we could go through it. I could kind of go through mine real quick. I'll just do a quick spotlight.
Yeah, because I wouldn't mind doing some, but it would just be on a webcam right now. So I'll figure out a way to link my iPhone into my laptop
That would
as well.
be the cheapest for sure, because most people already have their iPhones.
Mhm.
Mine's a little bit more expensive, but it works for me. But here's my setup. So there's my vise, and this is just a webcam, so I have 3 cameras ready. So if I want to show something like a material like this tag, I could show that. But there's my vise, and then it's got that green behind it, and then this is my webcam right there, and I could kind of go through. It's a Sony, and as you can see, there's a big distance between me and that, so I'm not clicking it, and so I like that. And then, as I said, I have this.
Vic,
Yes.
I have a question with the camera that you would have and I have.
Yeah.
Is there any way to go in there and tie a fly and then put it on your computer just to practice, so you can see how it looks?
All you would have to do is just make sure you have the SD card on it, and then you would just hit record. And as right now, as you can see, I'll go camera on camera, but you kind of, I can't, but it's got that viewfinder right there, and so you could then put it right on YouTube if you want. So you could record it. Again, no issues there. So, like I said, I have this little webcam if I want to show materials or anything like that. And to just kind of show you my camera, you guys have already seen. The cool thing with this is I could kind of zoom in a little bit, and it's pretty clear. I'll see how close I could get before it starts getting. Yeah, right now it's trying to focus on that phone, but
Doing good.
That is good.
I could, with this, I could
do
focus, go auto, and then I could kind of, before I could try to zoom it. It's a little bit trying to pick up on that back. See if I could get this to look out a little bit, not too much. I need a better stand. I've moved it so many times. But right there, that's pretty clear on everything you can see. And then I still have a foot where.
Go ahead.
So yeah, I still have a foot where I'm not clicking. So This is probably a little bit more expensive. I'd say the iPhone, I would try that first. But then at this point, as you can see, it'll kind of focus on my fingers and back. So it does have auto, but then I usually turn that off so it doesn't screw up the focus. But there it is. That's how I do it. And it comes out pretty clear. I would say this setup's probably around $300 to do it.
Whew. I keep losing the meeting. I have bad reception on my Wi-Fi or something, it's telling me, but every once in a while, everybody just goes, whoop, disappears.
Yeah, that could
Hey,
be.
Saraceno,
Yes,
what's
sir.
the name of that program?
IV cam.
ID Cam.
No, IV like in Victor.
Victor.
Good, I'm glad I asked. .com or something, I guess, huh?
It's just
I
yeah.
mean, you get it at your app store.
Oh, okay.
And if I remember right, a year's subscription is like $7 or $8, but then you can buy the program and keep it. You know, you don't have to keep renewing it for, I don't know, 20, $25 or something like that. It's not too expensive. I mean, the one thing that I can't do with it, like Mick can, I can't zoom in and zoom out while I am sitting here tying. I can, you know, basically I set it up, I fix the zoom, I lock it in for focus, and that's it. I can't change it in mid presentation.
You look pretty good the way you are there, Jim.
Yeah, no, this is not bad.
Well,
So
I
Jim,
can't-
what kind of webcam do you have?
Just the thing on my computer.
Oh, okay.
So I got a laptop and it's got a little built-in camera.
It
Yeah,
does
mine
nice.
is just the normal cheap webcam you could get from Amazon. I think
Yeah.
these things are under $20 if you want to use that. But then usually when you zoom up onto it, you got to get close and you'll click the camera.
Yeah. I don't know if you can see that.
So
I figured out a way to store my leaders. That's a
Nice.
stick cardboard backing with foam glued to it.
nice.
Uh-huh.
Cool.
You just wrap it up and stick the bug right in the foam.
Yeah, that
That'll
makes
I like
sense.
that.
You got the whole leader. That way you don't have to tie on a different bug every time. You just pull a leader out of your pouch and whoop. And I got a little tiny snap ring on the end of my line. And I just unsnap the one leader, wrap it up, put this leader on and go back to fishing.
There you go.
Hey Mick, what is your close-up camera? What's the name of it?
It is, it is the Sony Handycam. So HANDY cam. And the model number is DR-CX405. I'll even take a picture of it and send it to you.
VR-CX405.
H Hotel Delta Romeo dash Charlie X-ray 405. I'm gonna send you a picture of it.
I guess my ears aren't working all that good.
But we're getting
Ah,
so yeah, I'm sending it to you now, and then we'll do this. You know, I could kind of get this out, and we'll do this as a event just to kind of go over how we do this. And if someone gets it and then they're like, hey, I'm still having a hard time with this, we could easily, you know, set it up, because even with mine, you need one additional little component in there as well. So where I would say if you do the iPhone with what was that called? The ID cam webcam, that would probably be your cheapest and it works really good. I mean, for the difference of me being able to zoom and all that, it might not be worth it to try to get a camera. But if you're interested, I'll help you with it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
John does really well. He's got a heck of a camera setup. That's for
Yeah, we'll have to get,
dude.
yeah, when we do this, I'll bug John to join us because he's got his own different setup as well. So that would be kind of neat going over 3 different setups, you know, using the IV cam, the video cam I have, and then what John has. And he's got a lot of neat video editing software where he does really cool videos with some of his stuff. So yeah, for sure we'll do that. Maybe we'll try to plan that in maybe 2 weeks from now. That way, if anyone's really interested, they can order stuff. So, but I'll get an email out and just kind of go over some of the stuff, and then hopefully John will chime in and kind of, you know, discuss what he's got briefly and just kind of what he's got. I think his is even more expensive than mine. So we'll have
He uses a Mikosa camera, him and Al do, right? And he uses the CDN, Content Distribution Network. I can't remember the name of it, but it's pretty cool because he can stream to Facebook, YouTube, and everything else all at the same time.
So it is kind of neat. So we'll go through, we'll have like, you know, your easiest cheaper in, then a mid-range, and then if you really want to get serious about it, because if you ever go on TikTok or YouTube, you can see really cool videos, and maybe you're interested in doing that. You know, it's kind of fun, and it's something that I even want to try. I'll try to get it out there. Again, these videos are out on YouTube. Just look for Fly Fishing with Mick, and these are shared for, you know, it really not advertise it, but it's therefore if you miss a meeting, you could, you know, see some of our older meetings. So
Can you zoom in on my fly I got there, Mick?
sure,
On my
on spotlight for everyone.
Yeah, I have been destroying bluegill on that little booger.
Nice.
Oh, I like that.
I mean, it is amazing. They're trying to live off of that thing.
What's it got in the center part of the body? Is it a green bead or what?
I started with I using this fluorescent Isero
Okay.
fluorescent orange and tying in just some tiny feathers for the tail. And I tie that off and finish right back there. And then I go to, this is some fluorescent green that don't even have a name on it. I tie that in the middle. And then before I put the hackle on the end, I finish those 2 sections off with UV finish.
Yeah.
And that solidifies that whole section, and then I tie in my hackle in front of the bead, and that
You got a bead in front of it, right?
Yes, I got a bead in front of it.
Nice. Cool looking.
Thank you. It seems to work pretty good.
So soon we'll have you time for us.
Oh, that'd be neat. But I don't have a very good camera for doing that.
Larry, just come over and use mine.
Yep, we'll get Walt set up, and so
Yeah, I can go over to Walt's and do it. He's got all the goodies anyway.
yeah. All right, I'm gonna call this as we are good. We're 10 minutes past already. I'm gonna go have some dinner. Benji, good to see you. Hope to see you a little bit more. If you have any questions, probably still the easiest way to get a hold of me is if you IM me on the phone. I'll still get the emails, but it's a little bit hard. But with an IM, it's just quick that I could see it. And when I have a couple seconds, I could reply real quick, you know, back. Trying to jump on email, I still work full time. So during the day, it's kind of hard for me to get to that email. But if it's a quick IM, I could get back to you right away. So
there's even a tiny one that I tie behind the big one.
Nick, did you get that address in link for the Illinois licenses.
There
off
he
the
is.
bat,
There it is.
Thanks.
If
I
you want to
had
copy
that
that
little
for
one
you,
behind the big
or I
one.
can send it to you again. Let me know if you need it.
Yep, I'm gonna see if I could remember how to copy that
So-
real quick.
Well, I tell you what, I gotta sign out. I will see you guys next week, and I'll be tying some crawdads.
Cool.
Yes, crawdads. Woohoo!
Roger, let me get this straight real quick.
Huh?
We do not need any paperwork, just a statement saying that we're a disabled veteran.
No, you'll need a Illinois license because at least my understanding and what I've had to go through to get the free veteran fishing license from the, is you have to make that appointment with the veteran service office. You take in your 213 and your disability statement letter. Sit down with a person and then they give you a little, it's a separate little license that they give you. But
Was it
you
they
have
were
to make the
reading-
appointment and you got to take that paperwork in. It's,
200 miles of red tape.
yeah. That's where I showed you, that's where they give you the,
Right, but somebody was saying we didn't need any of that stuff tonight, didn't they?
well, they said that's what they read, but but just what somebody posts, if they leave some of the details out. Yeah, technically, if you're a disabled veteran with at least 10%, you can fish free in Illinois. But you're
You have
not
to
gonna
prove
sit
it.
there and just tell a game warden like, hey, I'm a disabled vet, and he's gonna go, okay. The way that I've seen, you'd have to check. It was what, less than 6 months ago, I went and I got that one that I have. For another reason, but it's only good for 2 years. To me, it's a lot less hassle for $30 not to have to sit there and make the appointment, trek out to the Veterans Service Office, to go in and show the purpose of your paperwork and have them, print out your little license and have to do that every 2 years,
And then the
I-
money goes to a good cause anyway, if you do your standard fishing license. That's, I'll
It
even go to,
does.
yeah,
I buy my Iowa license. I buy the full year. I may have only fished
It-
3 or
it
4
does.
times, but that's kind of what I do. Plus, I mean, theoretically this fall, if I go up to Storm Lake and spend a couple of weeks up there fishing, I'll use my license. So I mean, I've always done it. I just get a whole year license and over and done with it. I think it sucks that you got a place and they won't grant you some kind of residency status for it, but they won't.
And if we're trying out coming over to Illinois, whether it's too much of a hassle or not, like I say, you can get a 1-day license for $10 and 3-day license for about 16, 17 or something off their
Might as
website.
well buy the full one then for that money, $16.
yeah. And
Yeah,
it goes back to conservation. So it goes to a good cause.
Yep.
All right.
All right, well, I'm gonna let you guys go. I'll
Yeah,
talk to
I'm
you.
letting you guys go.
Night,
Good
all.
to see everyone. We'll talk soon. Again, Benji, if you have any questions, text me. I'll be there. So take care, everyone. We'll talk to you soon.
Hey, thanks, man.
Thanks a
Appreciate
lot.
you guys.
See ya.
Night.
Done lost my internet already.